Someone offers to help you, and before they finish the sentence, you've already said it. I'm fine. I've got it. Don't worry about me. Your back is against the wall. Your calendar is a disaster. You haven't slept properly in weeks. And when the one person who might actually be able to help you asks, you smile, say you're good, and then go home and figure it out alone at 2 a.m. You don't ask for directions. You don't ask for favors. You don't ask for support. And if someone notices you're struggling before you're ready to admit it, something inside you tightens. Like being seen is the most dangerous thing that could happen. People call you independent. Your friends call you strong. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe it too. But here's what nobody says out loud. What looks like strength from the outside sometimes feels like a cage from the inside. Because the truth is, you don't just prefer doing things yourself. Asking for help feels genuinely unbearable. And psychology has a very specific reason why. The story of why you are this way goes further back than you think. And the fourth reason might be the one that changes everything. Stay with me. Let's start with the group nobody talks about. The ones who didn't choose this. The ones who were trained into it so early they don't even remember the lesson being taught. You were young. Maybe 7. Maybe 9. You needed something. Help with your homework. Help after a hard day at school. Help with the thing that was too heavy and too confusing for someone your age to carry alone. And you asked. You gathered the courage and you asked. And the response wasn't cruel. It wasn't mean. It was just tired. A distracted look. A heavy sigh. A not right now. Or worse, the help came with strings. With a lecture. With a look that said you were too much. And you stood there for a moment, processing. Then you turned around and figured it out yourself. Not because you wanted to, because asking suddenly cost more than it was worth. You were not born like this. You were trained. And the part that matters is this. You were just a child doing the only logical thing a child can do when reaching out stops feeling safe. You stopped reaching out. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania spent decades studying learned helplessness. What he found was this: when people repeatedly experience that their actions don't change outcomes, their brain doesn't just give up on that one situation. It generalizes. It starts assuming effort is pointless in every situation. You didn't ask for help, people didn't really show up, so your brain built a rule. Help doesn't come when you need it, so stop needing it. That's not stubbornness. That's neuroscience doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But not everyone in this group got here through disappointment. Some of you got here through something sharper. Betrayal. You asked once. You let someone in. You were vulnerable in that terrifying way that costs everything, and they let you down. Maybe they told someone what you'd shared. Maybe they used it against you later. Maybe they just weren't there when it mattered. And your brain took notes. Asking for help doesn't just fail, it backfires. Psychologist John Bowlby at the Tavistock Institute studied what happens when early bids for connection aren't met with consistent care. He called it avoidant attachment. And here's what it looks like in an adult. You have learned that needing people is the fastest way to be disappointed by them. So you stopped needing them. You became self-contained. Not because closeness doesn't appeal to you, it does. But because the risk calculation doesn't add up. That's not being closed off. That's being careful with something that got broken before. And then there's the third group. The ones who look the healthiest from the outside. The genuinely capable ones. The people who actually can do most things themselves. For a long time, that felt like a superpower. You were the one who didn't need hand-holding, didn't need to be rescued, didn't need anyone to check in. But here's what psychologist Emma Sapala at Stanford found about extreme self-sufficiency. At a certain point, it stops being strength and starts being armor. Because the same system that lets you function without leaning on others also makes it almost impossible to let anyone in when you genuinely need them. You became so good at not needing people that your brain forgot how to ask even when asking would actually be okay. Not every wall was built from pain. Some were built from competence. But walls are walls. That's not independence. That's isolation wearing the costume of capability. And here's where it gets quiet. Here's the fourth group. The one nobody wants to belong to. Some of you can't ask for help because asking for help means admitting something is wrong. And admitting something is wrong means it's real. And if it's real, you have to feel it. And if you feel it, you're not in control anymore. So you keep moving. You keep managing. You keep saying I've got it with a calm voice and tight jaw because the alternative, sitting down saying I need help, letting someone actually see the full extent of what you're carrying, feels more dangerous than just carrying it alone. Psychologist Brené Brown at the University of Houston has spent 20 years studying vulnerability. And one of her central findings is this: the people most resistant to asking for help are often not the least vulnerable, they are the most. They feel things deeply, too deeply, and asking means exposure. And exposure, somewhere in the history of their life, meant pain. That's not pride. That's protection. But here is the uncomfortable truth we need to sit with for a moment. There is a difference between not needing help and not believing you deserve it. One is a personality trait. The other is a wound you've been calling a personality trait. So here is the question only you can answer. When someone offers to help you and you feel that instinct to refuse, what's underneath it? Is it genuinely, I've got this? Or is it, I don't want to find out what happens if I let someone try? Because if it's the second one, that's not strength. That's a child who learned that the safest place was always alone. And that child was smart for learning that. But you're not 9 anymore. Be honest with yourself. Because the answer matters more than you know. Here's what nobody in these comments wants to hear, but needs to. Asking for help is not weakness. It is not burden. It is not proof that you're failing. Researchers at the University of California found that people consistently overestimate how much their requests inconvenience others and underestimate how willing people actually are to help. We are walking around carrying weight alone because we're certain we'd be too much, and the research says we're wrong. Almost every time. You are not too much. You were just told that once by someone who wasn't enough. And here's something even deeper. Your ability to function alone, to stay steady in chaos, to carry things without flinching, that didn't come from nowhere. Came from practice. Hard practice. At an age when you should have been playing, not managing. And every single day since then, you have shown up and handled things. Quietly, alone, without applause. That is not nothing. That is extraordinary. And you are allowed to be proud of it. But you are also allowed to put some of it down. So here is your permission slip. You are not stubborn. You are not too proud. You are not broken or difficult or emotionally unavailable. You are someone who learned very early that needing things came with a price. And you decided somewhere along the way that it was easier to stop needing. That kept you safe. That kept you functioning. That got you here. But here's what nobody told you. Letting someone help you isn't losing control. It's choosing to share the weight. And that takes more courage than carrying it alone ever did. You are allowed to say, I don't know. You are allowed to say, I'm struggling. You are allowed to look at someone who genuinely wants to show up for you and say, okay, yes, please. That's not collapse. That's trust. And trust, for someone like you, is the bravest thing there is. Drop a comment, even just one word, describing what asking for help feels like for you. I read every single one. And if this video found you today, subscribe. There's more psychology behind why you are the way you are than you think. And if you've ever wondered why you deflect compliments the moment someone gives them, why praise feels stranger than criticism, that one's next. You've spent your whole life proving you don't need anyone. Maybe it's time to find out what happens when you